Good morning, Coach. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning, Kaylee. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, great. We'll get started with questions, and Matt will have our first question.
Morning, Sean.
Morning.
Heard you on the radio talking about Matt and seeing how things go today. I was curious, what are the challenges with a player like, obviously it's probably nice that Matt has been in the system for a while. He knows the defense. But what are the challenges when you're going through a week like this, when a player can't practice on Wednesday and Thursday, balancing that? Because you guys do a good job of that, like, putting guys in position to have success when they're injured, managing that when you're deciding for game day.
Yeah, it is a challenge. And each one is a different situation, right? Each individual represents a different situation because, whether you've got a younger player, obviously, or an older player, in a different case, and how long they've been around the system, as you mentioned specifically with Matt, it's just a difficult deal because then you can only address so many players, right? And if a player goes out there and can't perform the job, then you have to, then the roster strain takes effect. So you just always want to try and do the best thing you can. It's always hard though. There's no clear answer one way or the other sometimes.
And AJ, we've talked about how him as a player and how much you guys trust him, and AJ Klein, that is. Yep. How have you seen other players around him? Because one of the observations I have, especially that linebacker spot, is how much that communication point is so important. How much do you feel like other guys around him in the defense respond to him when he's out there?
Yeah, I feel like he has a great he just carries the it factor enough, Matt, where the guys respect him, partly because of how much of a pro he is, but also that he's been around the system and he's been here before, right? So he's earned some of that respect just, due to the time he's been with us prior to this year.
And then one more, if I could, Greg Rousseau, we were talking to him yesterday, and it occurred to me like how much he seems to have grown, like in a very short amount of time, and just, the maturation of him and dealing with this whole Vaughn situation. And he said, yeah, like when this news came, nobody in that room blinked, and he's ready to lead if he has to and do what needs to be done. What have you seen from him this season in that part of the game, just like becoming a mature football player?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a second-year player, which is, really impressive to watch that unfold, but also to hear the words that he uses and the way he shapes his mindset around that as an opportunity, really. And that's what I would say going back to when Vaughn got here. Greg was probably the one among many, but for sure, like Greg followed everything that Vaughn did, in terms of watching, listening, learning, taking notes. He was in Vaughn's hip pocket. So it was, it's kind of a deal where you're saying, listen, an older player, in Vaughn's case, a veteran player, may not be available for every game, I'm saying going into the season. So it's important that these other guys are picking these things up. And then, of course, with the situation we're in now, where Vaughn's not going to be able to return this year, now's when that work pays off, really.
Thanks so much, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
Coach, good morning. Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing today?
Good, Mookie. How are you?
I'm great, Coach. Some keys coming in off of the last game versus the Jets. Run game and protecting the quarterback. Has that been some point of emphasis as you prepare this week?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think they hit or sacked Josh, was it 13 times? So that was definitely stressed this week. And they've got a really good defense. They dressed 10 defensive linemen that can all rush the passer. Multiple high picks on that defensive line. So they do a really good job.
No doubt, Coach. And we all know that, man, being a head coach on any level is strenuous in itself. I could only imagine what you go through being an NFL head coach. But how do you find time to decompress, to find your comfort zone, to prepare yourself on a week to week?
Yeah, I think, more than anything, towards the end of the week, I've been able to get into a routine where I can get myself more ready as a head coach. And earlier in the week, I'm doing some other things, obviously multiple other tasks, just like I'm sure everybody else out there is. So, but towards the end of the week, it's important that I can get myself ready to go as well.
No doubt, Coach. Thank you for your time. Good luck this week.
All right. Thanks, Mookie.
Hey, Sean. When we talked to Brandon on Wednesday, he was saying that he thought Boogie Basham had one of his best games last week. I was wondering just what you saw out of Boogie against the Patriots and just kind of what he has done to grow into what will need to be an even bigger role, possibly.
Yeah, again, whether it's Boogie, AJ, Greg, the whole unit, obviously Daquan's a little bit older, but you're talking about Tim Settle, a younger, still a young player. Ed is still a young player. Who am I leaving out? I hope I'm not leaving anybody out, but we're talking about a group of younger-ish guys that have a huge opportunity to really take a big step, right? And I think that's exciting. Whether it's Boogie in this case and how he played last week or how AJ played, I thought they all grew last week through that opportunity, and this will be a new opportunity this week. And they've had a good week of practice, and now they got to get themselves just right for the game.
You mentioned, Boogie, AJ, Greg. They're also really close off the field. Obviously, you want to see them take a step forward either way. But is there anything that's, does that add anything as both a person and a coach to see when they're growing as a group like that too?
Yeah, I mean, when you go through experiences, whether it's just the day-to-day experiences around the NFL or when you go through a shared experience like this, where you're missing one of your guys that they all look up to, then you grow through that. And some of it's when you work together with people, whether it's corporate America or in this case on a team in the NFL, it's when you're around people long enough, you grow together.
And then I know it's obviously a group effort for that pass rush with Jordan Phillips now going to be out in addition to the Vaughn news. Just what kind of double whammy is that when you're looking across the defense as a whole, trying to make up, even when there's guys who are ready, just having both of those guys out this week? Yeah,
I mean, the game's going to get played and no one's going to come save us. Superman's not walking in the door anytime soon, I don't think. So, we go out, we prepare, and we go put our best foot forward and play the game.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, thanks.
That's all for today. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks, guys.